Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And today, as promised in my previous video, I would be doing a blockbuster integral. So as always, let's get to it. So we have our integral, let's call it I, being defined as the integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the fourth of x over x to the fourth dx. Now, unlike all of my other integrals of this form, where sine was raised to a higher power and even x in the denominator had a higher degree than 1, we always split the sine into simpler parts by using some trigonometric identities and stuff like that. But the sad part now is that we don't have any such trigonometric identities that we can use, but we still want to reduce the power of the denominator, right? So like my last video, I will like to integrate the denominator. So naturally I will have to differentiate the numerator without uh, splitting it into simpler parts like we did for the sine cubed. We use the triple angle formula. Here we can't do such a thing. So, well, the antiderivative of 1 over x to the fourth is nothing but negative 1 over 3x cubed. So to compensate for this negative, I would like to take a negative outside first when we use integration by parts. So we have negative 1 over 3, I also took the 3 outside, times sine to the fourth of x as it is, divided by x to the third power, evaluated from 0 to infinity, minus the integral from 0 to infinity of 4 times sine cubed of x times cosine of x, because that's the derivative of sine to the fourth of x. Because if you use chain rule on this, sine of x to the fourth power, we first need to resolve the power. 4 times sine cubed of x times the derivative of the inside function, which is a sine. The derivative of sine is a cosine, so cosine of x, divided by x to the third power, and we have a dx and a closing square bracket. Now let's try to evaluate this the upper and lower bounds of this thing. So, well, sine of x oscillates, we know, as x tends to infinity, will just keep oscillating between negative 1 and a positive 1. But if we raise that to the fourth power, the resultant value can't be negative, right? So this thing entirely will oscillate between 0 and 1 because it can't have negative 1, it can't be negative. So sine to the fourth of x will just keep oscillating between 0 and 1. It will have some value between them, some sort of fractional value between them. We don't know exactly what, but it's bounded between that. So essentially we don't care about the numerator, we only care about the denominator. So as x tends to infinity, 1 over x cubed will tend to 0. Just like my last video. So if you need help in understanding this, please refer to my last video. So this will tend to 0, this will become 0 at infinity, and we have 1/3 times when we plug in the lower bound. So limit as x tends to 0 of sine to the fourth of x divided by x cube. I'll do this in the next step. Minus and minus will make it a plus 4 over 3 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine cubed of x times the cosine of x divided by x cubed dx. Well, we know a great property that's sine of x over x, as the limit as x approaches 0 is 1. So why don't we write this as sine of x divided by x, everything to the fourth power. So essentially we have an x to the fourth in the denominator, but we originally had x cubed, right? So we can obtain an x to the fourth by multiplying and dividing by x. So x to the fourth in the denominator and then a separate x in the numerator. So the limit as x tends to 0 of just a single x here, plus 4 over 3 times the limit as the integral from 0 to infinity of sine cubed of x times cosine of x divided by x cubed dx. Well, you can take the limit inside the fourth power so that this will become 1. 1 to the fourth is 1. But no, now notice as limit as x tends to 0 of x is going to be 0. So 0 times 1 times 1/3 is going to be 0. So 0 plus this other integral. So you can ignore the 0. We just have I is just 4 by 3 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine cubed of x times the cosine of x divided by x cubed dx. So again we have an x cubed term now instead of an x to the fourth. One great thing that happened was we reduced the power from 4 to 3. So we want to reduce a power further. So naturally we would like to integrate this, because integration will reduce the power of 1 over x cubed to 2, to a power of 2, and then naturally we'll have to differentiate the numerator, this weird numerator term. So before actually proceeding with our integration by parts again, I would like to find the derivative of the numerator on a separate scratch space page. So see you there. So we want to find the derivative of this expression sine cubed of x times the cosine of x. So well, why don't we differentiate the first using the product rule? We differentiate the first times the second function unchanged. So 3 times sine squared of x times cosine of x times this normal other cosine of x, plus now you differentiate the cosine, you have negative sine x times sine cubed of x. So all of this will just be 3 times sine squared of x times cosine squared of x minus sine to the fourth of x. So now when we use integration by parts, I'll take a negative outside to compensate for the antiderivative, the negative obtained during the anti-differentiation of 1 over x to the third. And now we'll just have integral from 0 to, there will be a non-integral term first. Well, you have the numerator as it is, so sine cubed of x times the cosine of x divided by 2 times x squared. We don't worry about the negative, I compensated that outside, evaluated from 0 to infinity, minus integral from 0 to infinity of the derivative of the numerator, and we just found that out now, didn't we? Well, that was negative the first term, sine squared x times cosine squared x divided by 2x squared, minus of the second term, minus of minus sine to the fourth will just be positive integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the fourth of x over x squared dx. You might want to close this square bracket here. We have a 2 here, so don't forget the 2. Well, why don't we clean up everything? Why don't we pull out a 2 from all these terms and cancel with this 4? So we have negative 2/3 now of sine cubed of x times cosine of x divided by x squared evaluated from 0 to infinity, minus and minus will make this a positive. So we have a 2 over 3, and then that 3 cancels out with this 3. So we just have plus 2 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine squared x times cosine squared x divided by x squared dx, and negative here now, negative 2 over 3 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the fourth of x over x squared dx. And so like before, now I'm not going to calculate the range of the numerator of, I'm not going to calculate the range of sine cubed of x times the cosine of x, but we know that it will keep oscillating and we don't need to worry about that. So all we need to worry about when x tends to infinity is the denominator x squared. So as x tends to infinity, 1 over x squared will tend to 0. So this entire thing will go to 0 while x is tending to infinity. And then for the 0 condition, we have 2 or 3 times the limit as x tends to 0, and well, cosine of 0 is 1, so we just forget about the multiplied 1 by the side. So we have sine cubed of x. Well, we would like to have an x cubed term, right? So to do that, we need to multiply and divide by an x over here so that we obtain an x cubed and still maintain equality. So x cubed times x plus 2 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine squared x times cosine squared x divided by x squared dx minus 2 over 3 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the fourth of x divided by x squared dx. So now like the last time, sine of x over x, the whole thing cubed, is going to 1 because we can take the limit inside, and 1 cubed is 1. This is 1. And then we also have the limit as x tends to 0 of x, and this will go to 0. So 0 times 1 times 2/3 is 0, will make this entire term go to 0. So now we only have 2 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine squared x times cosine squared x divided by x squared dx minus 2 over 3 integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the fourth of x divided by x squared dx. Now one great thing is we reduce the power of the denominator again. So it's actually time to split these into two separate integrals, calling this I1 and this as I2. But I won't be taking the 2 over 3, so I'll exclude that bit. So therefore our I is nothing but I1 minus 2/3 of I2. So let's do them separately. Let's do I1 first on a fresh page. See you there. So what's I1? I1 is basically 2 times the integral from 0 to infinity of sine squared of x times cosine squared of x divided by x squared dx. So naturally we want to reduce the power of x from 2 to 1. So again, like the last time, we'll integrate this bit and we'll want to differentiate this bit. But I would like to take the derivative of the numerator little skillfully. So I would like to use my rough space page again. So basically, before actually differentiating, we have sine squared of x times cosine squared of x. Why don't we multiply and divide a 4 here? So 4 times sine squared of x times cosine squared of x divided by this 4 over here. Well, now why is this useful? Because now we can write the numerator as 2 times sine of x times cosine of x, the whole thing squared, divided by the 4. But what is this? What is this quantity that's being squared? That's right, it's sine of 2x squared. So sine squared of 2x divided by 4. Well, now we are ready to differentiate. So d over dx of sine squared of x times cosine squared of x is just the derivative of this thing. So if you were to differentiate this, 1 over 4 is a constant. First use the power rule. So 2 times sine of 2x times the derivative of sine of 2x is cosine of 2x times the 2 because we have a 2x inside. So these 2's will multiply to make a 4 and then divide by 4. So all of these coefficients will cancel out, just giving us sine of 2x times the cosine of 2x. Well, why don't we multiply and divide by 2 again? Well, now look at the numerator. What's 2 times sine of 2x times cosine of 2x, right? It's nothing but sine of 2 times 2x, so sine of 4x. I'm just using this double angle formula of the sines. So when we have, say, sine of 2 theta, this is nothing but 2 times sine of theta times cosine of theta. So in our case, we had, instead of theta, we had 2x. So 2 times 2x is a 4x. So our derivative basically is sine of 4x divided by 2. Let's remember this and use it in our integration by parts formula. So now I would again like to take a negative outside to compensate for the antiderivative of 1 over x squared. Now we have sine squared of x times cosine squared of x as it is, divided by just x now, evaluated from 0 to infinity, minus, we had sine 4x divided by 2 in the numerator, integral from 0 to infinity. Basically we can take the 2 outside. We have sine of 4x divided by x dx. Well, it's time to actually evaluate this. So negative 2 times sine squared of x times cosine squared of x divided by x. First we have the limit as x tends to infinity, and then plus, negative will make a plus, limit as x tends to 0 of 2 times sine squared of x times cosine squared of x divided by x. Minus and minus will make plus, and then 2 over 2 is 1. So we then just have the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 4x divided by x dx. So now as x tends to infinity, sine squared of x times cosine squared of x. Now I'm not going to find the range, but you can actually find the range easily by, if you divide by 4, you'll have 2 times sine x times cosine x, the whole thing squared. So you'll have sine squared of 2x, which because of the square is not going to be negative, so it will be bounded between 0 and 1. We can roughly say, well, as x tends to infinity, it will have some value in between that. We don't know exactly what, and we don't care now because it's not, helping the limit to go to infinity. So we don't just care. We don't care about that at all. So as x tends to infinity, 1 over x will go to 0. So this thing will go to 0 because of the denominator x. And now here, as x tends to 0, cos squared of 0 will be 1. So we ignore the cosine squared. And now we'll have 2 times the limit as x tends to 0 of sine squared x divided by x squared. And how did we get this x squared? By multiplying and dividing an x in the numerator and denominator this way. So times the limit as x tends to 0 of x, we still have the numerator x, right? So now this will go to 1, but because of this it will go to 0. So 0 times 1 times 2 is 0, so we ignore this. We just have the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 4x divided by x dx. So I1 is nothing but integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 4x divided by x dx. Now to calculate this, now we can't reduce the power of x further, because integrating 1 over x would now yield a natural log, and which is highly undesirable now. And we basically had a similar form, right? We had sine of x over x from 0 to infinity, the integral. We did in like 2-3 videos ago. I think I had done that problem. So let's try to use some substitution. So we have the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 4x divided by x dx. Why don't we make the substitution? U is equal to 4x, so we have du being equal to 4 dx. Upper and lower bounds are just going to remain the same, because when x is 0, u is 0, and when x is infinity, u is infinity. So we have sine of u divided by, well, x is nothing but u by 4, and dx is du by 4. So the 4 cancel out. The integral from 0 to infinity of sine u over u du. And the u is like a dummy variable, because upper and lower bounds, as long as they remain the same, we can have any variable we want for in the integrand and in the differential element. And we just calculated this, right, in that sine of x over x video. That was pi over 2. And in general now, this was only when we had a 4 associated with the x in the argument of the sine. But in general, say you have the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of a times x, and a is just any constant, divided by x dx. This is always going to be pi over 2. So we don't care what is inside the argument of the sine multiplied with the x, because we're always going to end up with a pi over 2, because this 4 and this 4 are going to, or this constant and that constant are going to cancel out. So it's like the x and the dx kind of scale each other out. They just sort of cancel each other's effects. So we basically have an answer of pi over 2. Let's just plug that in our I1 page. Well, so I1 is nothing but pi over 2. Well, good information. This will be helpful later when we are actually recombining everything. So our I2 is basically integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 4x, sine to the 4th of x, sorry, divided by x squared dx. Now I would like to use an interesting identity, trigonometric identity. And so we know sine squared of x can be represented using the cosine double angle formulas, 1 minus cosine 2x divided by 2. What if we were to square that? We would obtain a sine to the 4th of x, right? So that's basically squaring this. So we have 1 over 4 can be taken out, 1 minus cosine of 2x, the whole thing squared. So that is exactly what we're going to plug in for our I2. So we have the integral from 0 to infinity of 1 over 4 is taken out, 1 minus cosine of 2x, the whole thing squared, divided by x squared dx. Well, why don't we just expand the bracket now? So we have 1 over 4 times the integral from 0 to infinity of dx over x squared minus 2 times cosine of 2x, and the 2 divided by 1/4 is a negative half. So we have a negative half times the integral from 0 to infinity of cosine of 2x divided by x squared dx, and a cosine squared term. So we have plus 1 over 4 times the integral from 0 to infinity of cosine squared of 2x divided by x squared dx. Well, integrating this is easy, right? So I'll take a negative outside to compensate for the negative due to the antiderivative of this. and this is just 1 over x evaluated from 0 to infinity. And I would like to use integration by parts on this because we further want to reduce the power of x squared and make it into x to the first power. So I'll take a negative outside to compensate for the antiderivative. So I'll have a positive half times cosine of 2x as it is divided by x evaluated from 0 to infinity minus integral from 0 to infinity, and then the derivative of cosine of 2x is negative 2 times sine of 2x. So that negative and this negative will be a positive. 2 times sine of 2x divided by x dx. And I'm going to do the same on the second on sorry the third term here, the cosine squared 2x term. But let's calculate the derivative of the numerator separately so that we know what to plug in. So the derivative of cosine squared 2x term is going to be 2 times cosine of 2x because of the power rule times the derivative of the cosine of 2x is negative sine of 2x times another 2 because we have a 2x, right? Chain rule, thrice basically. So we have negative 4 times cosine of 2x times sine of 2x. Well, we can just use one of the 2's in the 4. So 4 is 2 into 2. We can use one of the 2's to get 2 times sine of 2x times cosine of 2x, and this is just the sine double angle formula. So this is negative 2 times sine of 4x. So that's really good. So using integration by parts on the third integral over here, we'll have a negative 1 over 4 to compensate the negative to compensate for the antiderivative times cosine squared 2x as it is first time divided by x evaluated from 0 to infinity minus of the derivative of the numerator, and the derivative of numerator, if you notice, if you remember, had a negative, so this will become a positive, of the integral from 0 to infinity of 2 times sine of 4x divided by x dx. So now our I2 is going to be, well, when x tends to infinity this will become 0 first, but when x tends to 0 this is sort of an infinity which we will just write as it is in the limit form. 1 over 4 times the limit as x tends to 0 of 1 over x. We know as x tends to 0 that this will blow up to infinity. This is sort of an indeterminate form, but let's just keep it as it is in the hopes that it will cancel out somewhere. Well now cosine of 2x again is bounded between negative 1 and 1 as x tends to infinity. We don't know what value it will have. It will be somewhere in there, but we do care about the 1 over x. So as x tends to infinity this thing will blow to 0 because of the denominator x. And when we have a 0, cosine of 0 will be 1, and then it's sort of an indeterminate form. So negative 1 over 2 times the limit as x tends to 0 of 1 over x, and these 2's will sort of cancel out. So we just have an integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 2x divided by x dx. And when x tends to infinity, cosine squared of 2x will be bounded between 1 and 0 because it can't be negative. We don't care about the numerator. So as x tends to infinity, because of the denominator x, this will become 0, and we'll have 1 over 4 times the limit as x tends to 0. For the 0 case, cosine of 2 times 0, cosine of 0 is 1. So 1 over x minus half now, this 2 and 1 over 4 of the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of 4x divided by x dx. So now notice that 1 over 4 plus 1 over 4 will make a 1 over 2. That will cancel out with this negative 1 over 2. So all these infinities are cancelling out luckily. And now we have this integral, right? Remember what I said before, we don't care what's multiplied with the x in the argument of the sign. This will always be pi over 2. And this will always be pi over 2, because here we had a 2, here we have a 4, but we don't care what constant there is multiplied with the x in the argument of the sign, right? This will always be pi over 2. So it will be negative half of pi over 2. So pi over 2 minus pi over 4, 90 degrees minus 45 degrees is 45 degrees, or pi over 4 radians. So we have expressions for I1 and I2 now. So it's time to recombine everything and plug them in our grand formula. So what was our grand equation? We had I being equal to I1 minus 2 over 3 times I2. So I1 we calculated was pi over 2 minus 2 over 3 times pi over 4. We will get pi over 2 minus pi over 6. We can simplify this to be pi over 3. So that's a pretty neat answer. Now it's time to draw a conclusion now. So we had our I that we defined to be the integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the 4th of x divided by x to the 4th being equal to nothing but pi over 3. So before ending this video, I would like to draw your attention to something else. The graph of this integrand over here. So the graph of this integrand over here looks something like this. So I apologize for my bad drawing skills, but I hope you get the point that this left hand side that's over the negative region is actually a mirror of this right hand side, right, which is the positive region. So, and both of them are positive areas, right, because they're lying above the x-axis. So integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the 4th of x divided by x to the 4th dx is basically the area from 0 to infinity, right, which is, as I just said, the areas are the same because they are mirrors of each other. They're symmetric about the y-axis, is equal to the integral from negative infinity to 0 of sine to the 4th of x divided by x to the 4th dx. So if you call this I, even this will be the same I. So why don't we add both of them? So why don't we say 2I? Well, 2I is equal to the integral from negative infinity to 0 of sine to the 4th of x over x to the 4th dx plus the integral from 0 to infinity of sine to the 4th of x over x to the 4th dx. So that's to say, by the linearity of the integral, well, integral from negative infinity to 0 is basically this region, plus integral from 0 to infinity is this region. So integral over this plus integral over this is nothing but integral over the entire negative infinity to infinity region, right? So we can write them as one integral from negative infinity to infinity of sine to the 4th of x divided by x to the 4th dx, and that's just 2 times I, right? And what's I? Pi over 3. So what's 2 times I? 2 times pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3. So that's what the integral over the entire negative infinity to infinity entire x region is 2 pi over 3. So again a pretty neat result, very beautiful. We get the pi's just dropping in because of that sign of x over x form that I had demonstrated earlier. So I hope you're satisfied with this blockbuster integral that we did today, because it was a really big journey to solve the problem. So that's it for this video, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Recommend me to your mathophile, numberphile friends or others who might be interested in this and want to learn something. Uh, in the meantime, stay home, stay safe. Have a nice day. Peace out.